Order the Board of Alderman meeting for Monday, March 15, 2021 at 6:32. Looks like 6:31. And if I can get a roll call vote, please, on the roll call.
Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Alderman Hudson.
Here.
Alderman Motley. Here. Alderman Wilkins.
Present.
Alderman Rogers.
Present.
Alderman Magley.
All right. To the quorum, I have Sydney Mayfield with us via video here. So if I can get everybody to join me in the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That moves us to the third item on the agenda for tonight, and that would be the presentation of Centralia's piece of the Boone County Bicentennial mural, which we have over here. So, if you'd like to come up and address
Yes,
us.
thank you. Thank you so much for giving us some time to make this presentation tonight. Last year, I guess since this time last year, right, things changed for all of us, and it's changed drastically for all of us. We had lots of plans as a committee to engage the community in many ways to celebrate our bicentennial. Boone County would have celebrated its bicentennial in November of 2020, but we had plans throughout the year to make that a special time. Well, March arrived and plans changed. And as I've told these two and the rest of the members of the committee for over a year, I got kicked out of ballet when I was a kid. Yeah, devastating, right? But even I learned to pivot and pirouette. And I think that was really the watchword of what we did. And so we had been working for months on this idea of how to preserve our history. And thank God we did, because it was something that would survive even a pandemic. And as some of you actually know, because you participated in it, when we started this process, we said we want something that will last longer than just a party. We want something that will go into the future. And as we started thinking about it, we thought, gosh, one of the ways in which we as a community always celebrate this kind of stuff is through art. And we met with, and you'll hear from in a minute, we met this one particular artist, Wildie Self. She owns Wildie's World. And we met with her, and it was within 10 minutes that the entire committee said, yes, this is the person that needs to lead our idea and really bring it into fruition as a county. Because what we had thought about was the motto for the bicentennial, which was many communities, one county. And we thought, how can that be created into something that really resonates for people here in Boone County? And we said, is there some way, to this wonderful artist, is there some way that you can take the idea of Boone County and make it into many communities, one county, and speak to people for generations about that? And so Stacy's going to explain to you what happened, how that process happened. And ultimately, not only will you have this piece of this wonderful mural, but we'd like to present you tonight with this poster that was made of the entire mural, which someday maybe will be put back together into one piece so people can see the entire Boone County. And with this are two kind of side-by-side things. This is the kind of the, what would you call it?
The map key.
The map key. The key to everything in each piece to tell you what is displayed there, what does it mean. And with that also a history of how the Treasures of Boone County was created. and the members of the committee. And I'd like to recognize right quick members of the committee who are here tonight, Margie Motley and Don Borman. And without people like these two folks, this wouldn't have happened. This certainly wouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't have had the kind of community support and fun that it created for people. And I'd also like to recognize from here up in Centralia, Ginny Zellers, because Ginny was a driving force in making sure that we had a place to have the artwork done. So I'd like to introduce Stacy Wildy-Self, the artist who made this happen.
And we'll do the presentation when she gets done.
Yes,
Okay?
if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored to present this to Centralia, and it was a community effort. I'm a collaborative muralist, so I could paint the walls alone, but I love to get everyone involved in working together, team building, community building, and so that's why the committee thought this was perfect to honor the 200th year of Boone County. And so we created the idea of a puzzle mural. So there are 8 pieces to the puzzle in the Treasures of Boone County. It's 25 feet high, and it has been on display at the History and Culture Center for the year of COVID. Unfortunately, it had to come down and make room for other things, but we look forward to people getting to see the different pieces and explore all of the treasures, the beloved treasures of the community, which I gathered as data here in this room with folks like Mrs. Motley and other community members who came to participate in a listening session and share their beloved treasures. And so I tried to illustrate as many as possible. And I love the Centralia piece because of your rich culture here. So thank you so much for hanging it in such a special place and accepting it.
It's wonderful. And as she said, you know, the goal had been to have it on display, the whole thing on display for the whole year, so everybody could get to the Boone County History and Culture Center. We had the unveiling of it on a Wednesday night in March of 2020, and the next day was the shutdown. So, boy, is our timing impeccable or what?
Very good. That's
Yeah, but anyhow, and so I love you two, Don.
I didn't have much to do with it.
Come on, Don, your name's on here. Your name's on
What
here.
I'll say is, you talk about you learned how to pirouette and you got kicked out of
Ballet.
ballet. Art is something I'm not good at because I got kicked out of art class in 3rd grade. But I learned how to make stick people, right? I did, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that she is a great artist and teacher because I actually made a railroad tie because it was a straight line and she helped me be an artist for one minute.
Everybody gets it.
And you suggested.
People that came and painted, I mean, they'll probably come in here and say,
I painted that.
so that's kind of cool.
And I did the mane on the big horse.
And you're the reason there's a land anchor on the piece too. Remember that
Yes,
suggestion?
all right. We have that. So anyway, hey, we can't thank you enough, and we appreciate all the people that help us. So thank you. We'll make sure this is well.
Yeah.
Say something.
Thank you so much.
And,
for what
and,
you're doing for
and,
us.
and as a lasting kind of a tribute, also because of, thank you, COVID, we have an artist relief fund because artists here in Boone County were hurt as badly as any other sector in our society. And so we had made for the artists and for that fund a poster of the whole thing and stickers. And so those are available through Wildy's World as an artist relief fund, again, to try to get some of these people back on their feet.
Put that later on our website.
Yeah, that's great.
We'll put it on the website,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right,
Wonderful.
thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Ms. Molly, I'll catch up with you about that picture as well.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move to item 4, the public hearings. So, the first amendment to the fiscal year 2021 budget. Anybody have some thoughts, questions, input on that?
I just would like to say that we don't have nearly as many amendments to the budget as we have had in previous years. I feel like a lot of that is due to, city staff was very cognizant of what they were spending, and they were, we didn't overspend as much as we normally do, I guess, so especially. Park funds, our increase is only about $2,000. The library fund, it's actually the library bond fund, and the only reason that there's an increase from $0 to $4,000 was because of the request from the library for $4,000 this year. And then the cemetery fund had about a $6,000 increase, and I looked back at that fund today just to kind of get a better idea of what that was, and we had a lot more grave openings than we normally do. So that's what that was from.
Right. Well, once more twice on that. So I'll close the hearing on amendments for the fiscal year 2021 budget. Public hearing on adopting the fiscal year 2021-22 budget.
I just have one comment on that. I don't remember when we passed the safety tax, if it said in there how that money was gonna be split up, but I'm looking at the budget, what of it I could understand, considering the fact that you all have talked about this a lot recently, I don't understand why the fire department's only getting 25%.
It's not, it's 50.
The little part that I looked said at that the police department got 150 and that the fire department got 50,000.
I'll have to look at that because it's supposed to be a 50-50 split.
Okay, well, it showed it as a quarter to 3/4, and I hope you take Don's name off of it instead.
I already did.
Thank you. Tara was a little surprised when I called her today.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments about the adoption of the fiscal year 2021-22 budget? All righty, I'll close the public hearings on those two. Move to item 5, consent agenda. I would take minutes of prior meetings of the Board of Aldermen, January 18th, February 16th, and February 23rd. B, minutes of the Public Works and Public Utilities Committee meeting March 8th, and minutes of the General Government and Public Safety Committee meeting March 8th as well as the Treasurer's and Collector's report and the activity reports therein. So, and if anybody would like to separate those out, you're welcome to look those over, and I would entertain a motion to adopt, approve all.
On the General Government and Public Safety Committee notes, very last page has blanks on it. Motion to adjourn made by Alderman Blank and seconded by Alderman Blank. I don't know who to fill that in, but
I had written down the closed session, but I didn't write down when we wrapped up.
I didn't either.
Was that, what did you say?
it's on page 18.
Last Monday.
You know,
Motion to adjourn the
Remember
regular
who
meeting.
did?
I seconded, I don't remember who.
Because originally David meant it, but it's his meeting,
and I've slept around by him.
I don't remember who called it, I seconded.
It was either Don or
Yeah,
David.
it's
It was-
Don.
It was from
You
that
called
side
it,
of the.
you got it.
I think.
You seconded it, you thought?
You called it, I seconded.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that
there we go.
And it was late, I don't know.
It
Yeah.
was late.
It was your meeting, so you couldn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't.
If I remember correctly, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then Don did it, and then, you remember, okay,
Okay.
good, thank you.
Make a motion we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
First and second to approve the consent agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. That moves us down to item 6, which is accounts payable over $1,250 equaling $627,183.67.
motion, we approve the accounts payable over $1,250 for the grand total amount of $627,183.67.
Second.
Have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That moves us down to comments from citizens at this point.
My wife and I have been in contact with Jenny. There is a wine walk that is scheduled for this summer. This should have been the 4th annual wine walk. It will actually be the 3rd since last year's got canceled. Jenny has contacted the health department, and the health department has told her that the only way this can be done is if it's held outside. So that either means it's gotta be held on the city streets, or it's gotta be held in the park. And there are ordinances against having alcohol in both of those places. This is an event that brings in money for the chamber to operate on. It also brings money as people come to town and eat here. It brings tax dollars to the city. So I think it's something that's worthwhile doing. It puts our little town on the map with a lot of other people from a lot of other areas. I think it would be a good thing for us to do this, but like I say, if you do it on the streets, it's going to take city ordinance. I know the Parks Department is opposed to doing it in the park. And there's reasons for that, and I understand those reasons. So this will come up at the end of July, but I also realize that it's going to take a little time to research this and get a little public input, whatever, in order to do something. So I just would like to bring this up on the radar so that you guys are aware of it and can get started on this.
Scheduled for August, is that correct?
No, for the last weekend of July.
July, okay.
So, like I say, I mean, it not only brings in tax dollars for the city, but it brings in operating funds for the chamber. So I think it's a good thing to do.
So the alcohol is just gonna be in the stores only?
No, it cannot be held inside the stores.
So where's it
The health
gonna be at?
department, it would have to be out in front of the stores. On
And
the
that's
street.
the only place on the sidewalk?
Sidewalk, well, I mean, they'd be on either the sidewalk or the street. They could put the booze in the street. If you put the booze on the sidewalk, you pretty well block the sidewalk. So you might put the booze in the street. Doesn't really matter. The ordinance is written for city right-of-ways, I believe. So if you change it to allow this, or, do it as an event type of thing, either case it would be taken care of. So they might take up a parking space or two and try to put a booth in and then leave the people lined up on the sidewalk. That way you don't want to do away with people parking downtown. That's the whole idea, is you don't want them to walk forever.
How many wine vendors are we expecting?
In the past, we had 8. I would assume we would be about the same. And part of that's been, I know that there are some wineries that are saying they will not participate in these this year. They're still worried about the COVID. But if you get much less than 8, it's not going to be much of a wine walk.
I know it's been a big event. I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of people with interest around the square and the businesses and everything, so.
Right.
As well as the supplemental businesses around, the convenience stores, gas stations.
I mean, I really like the idea of putting them in the businesses, make the people actually go into the businesses. Put it on the sidewalks, it doesn't happen as much. There might be some people go in. But, the whole idea is to draw people not just to the community, but to get them into our businesses with the idea that they would come back. So it's a promotion of our businesses as well as the city.
So how many years has this been going?
We've done it twice. Last year it was canceled.
It got bigger, didn't it, every year you did it?
Well, the
Except for
2
last
years.
year.
Yes, I mean, it got bigger, and ours is not as big as what some of the others are, or by any means, but I would expect ours to get bigger. I'm not sure what will happen this year, but, normally speaking, these things grow over time. We've seen some, Rocheport brings well over 1,000 people to theirs.
With everything in the square, would that work? We could not.
No, the Parks
The Parks
Department
Department is
said no
opposed
way.
to that. I mean, they're afraid that if they allow alcohol for certain events, that somebody might want to do that at Anchorfest, and they're opposed to doing it in Anchorfest.
It just opens it up to anybody asking, saying, well, you let them do it, now you have to let us do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Anchorfest is really not the place for us, because Anchorfest is a family affair, and I suspected it would kill Anchorfest if you allowed alcohol in there. I mean, wouldn't kill it the first year, probably wouldn't kill it the second year, but it would kill. Yeah, it would absolutely kill Anchorfest.
Right, is that enough of that?
You deal with enough of that.
Exactly.
I mean,
And the only reason I say is, Don, you mentioned sidewalks and parking spaces. If all 8 vendors per se were inside the square, they're not on the streets or on site.
that's correct,
but
but
you're
that's something
starting
that
precedent
the Parks
and
Department does not want.
Yeah. I mean, it would, the last time we did one at like the gardens, and we had them at Kincaid's and Chic and the flower shop and Richie's. So they're scattered out, you know, so you're not taking up just a tremendous amount.
And I don't see taking 2 spots in front of Bossy Goat or 2 spots in front of Chic be an issue.
No,
No,
no.
I mean, it's not like you're cutting off all the parking
No.
spaces.
You know, if we get up to where we have 1,000 people, that's another issue. But if at 300 to 400, 500, it's not gonna be a problem.
It'd be a nice
And
problem.
we're not looking at this as being something permanently on the street.
No.
It's still, it's nice to have the people in the businesses, simply so that you want those people to go in there because you would like them to maybe see something they want to come back for. It's a business promotion as much as anything.
You get 1,000 people at $20 a person, it's not a bad day.
No. And see, that's.
But I don't expect us ever to get to that point.
Donnie, I mean, that's what, a lot of them are well over $1,000, you know, people, and it's a big issue, especially like when you can't have Anchorfest like we've had for the last,
I mean,
year.
Glasgow brings in 500 people easily. Rocheport's probably the biggest one. They'll bring in 1,000 easily.
They have rivers,
So,
they don't have any
Remember
mountains.
how many people we brought in last time we did it?
300 and something.
No, it was less than 300. It was, I think the first year was around 175, and then we were bigger the
Bigger.
second year. I don't remember how much bigger. I think it was 225 to 250, somewhere in that range. And
People are
I
hungry
would
for
sort of
wine
suspect,
walks.
I don't know, but I would sort of suspect this year might be lower simply because of what's going on.
Or they're ready to get out, so they'll.
But on the other hand, it could be a big thing because people are ready to get out. Glasgow is going to do theirs this year, and it's supposed to be April 14th, and they've had no advertising on it so far at all. 10th. Okay. So, I mean, but there hasn't been any wine walks since this all hit last year. Every one of them was canceled, that I know of.
Yeah.
All of them in central Missouri were anyway.
It's just one of those things, we just wanted to bring it up. I mean, we're still gonna be on that committee, whether, you know, not being on the board, but we're on that committee, and we just wanted everybody to be thinking about it. And if Sydney needs to do some checking, or Heather needs to do some checking for ordinances on it, then, you
Yeah,
know.
it's 'cause
whatever.
it will take a city ordinance, so I mean, it's not, no, it's the end of July, and that's several months away, but it takes time to go through these things and get them done properly.
Is the health department still anticipating at the end of July they're still gonna have the same regulation?
We don't know, and they don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility it won't happen at all, but we need to
Right.
be prepared
On the other
if
hand,
we can do it.
They're expecting a lot more people to have to be vaccinated by then, and so they may drop a lot of these health requirements. It may not be as big a deal.
I think as we go further into the year, it'll be
Right.
less stringent all the
But
time.
we don't wanna wait until the last minute and then come in and say, oh, we're gonna have to cancel if we can't get this done immediately.
Right, right.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll take it under advisement and make sure that we check and
Okay.
have a discussion about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Anybody else have any comments from citizens? Okay, that'll move us down to our number 8, our action agenda. Under A, we have finance. We have a couple of resolutions. I'd ask Heather if you could read us through the first one.
Yep.
I move that bill number 2392 be given its first and only reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
A resolution adopting an amended budget for the city of Centralia, Missouri for the fiscal year of 2020-2021, commencing on April 1st, 2020, and ending on March 31st, 2021.
Move that bill number 2392 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote, Tara, please. Passes.
Alderman Hudson,
4.
Alderman Rogers,
4.
Alderman Stevens. 4. Alderman Wilkins.
4.
Alderman Motley. 4.
All right. Bill number 2392 passes. Resolution number, please.
R-21-05.
Thank you. That moves us to 2. I would accept a motion for,
Do you,
We need to review that.
I would like to make sure that it's correct in there as
So
official.
we should hold
It's
on
not
that.
going to change how the money is budgeted, it's both going to, general
Say-
fund, but I'd like for it to say
That's
50%,
appropriated.
50%.
right.
I need to look at it to see, I can check real quick if you want to wait. I just need to, my phone doesn't,
What's your phone?
can I see your phone? I can't do it on that
This
one.
one?
Sydney's
Oh,
on
you
that
want
one.
my phone? Oh, yeah, yeah, hang on. You stay there, Cindy, stay there, I'm sorry.
Don't move, Cindy.
I'm not getting rid of it. Did you see, oh, it's locked? Yeah, there's some secret stuff on there, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Take some of those emails. Oh,
It's not gonna happen tonight.
it's in a bulletproof.
It wasn't on that one.
You get that in a minute? You lost it.
I just saw it in one place, Heather, I'm sorry, it said
No, it's fine.
150
No, we have it
and
right.
50,
We
so.
want
Well, it
appropriate
was,
road.
it was for last year, so I just wanna make sure I got it correct for this year.
And see, I may have misread it, but I just wanted to make sure too.
Too small a screen, or what?
I don't know. The darndest time of this thing.
Oh, those clouds.
And that, and then it's that.
You remember where?
All of my pages are blank after, this is February 2021 activity report, and then after that, every sheet is blank.
When the phone hit the ground, it went blank.
And you can talk to my TV.
She said it was your issue, so.
I'll share.
Okay, thanks.
It is still transferring at 75 and 25, it's not corrected. So we can push this off till the next meeting if you want, so I can correct it.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad you caught it.
No,
I
good.
mean, it still would have been appropriated to the general fund, it's just, I needed,
Has to
I would
be,
much
yeah.
rather it be correct before we get past
Right.
it.
So we'll table that.
Well, you're gonna have another meeting probably before the end of the month anyway, so.
Yeah, we will. Yep, so we'll table, item 2, to further date. It moves us to section B, legal. And, we have 2 ordinances that we're looking at. Number 1 is setting compensation for certain employees of the city of Centralia, an ordinance. I take a motion for the first reading.
Move that bill number 2393 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? You didn't read?
An ordinance to set the compensation of certain employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2393 be given its second reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance to set the compensation of certain employees of the city of Centralia, Missouri.
Move that bill number 2393 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Roll call vote, please, Terry.
Alderman Hudson,
4.
Alderman Motley. 4. Alderman Stevens. 4. Alderman Rogers,
4.
Alderman Wilkins.
4.
Bill number 2393 passes. Ordinance number, please.
3081.
Thank you. That moves to item 2, authorize the mayor to execute documents to join the Missouri Intergovernmental Risk Management Association. I'll entertain a motion for first reading.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yes.
Matthew Marez here. We got some last minute updates to the quotes from Angel and Company. Said he was able to give us a possible 10% Chubb longevity credit. Increase the comp and collision deductible to $3,000 in all vehicles. It gave us a $3,000 credit from what he had quoted, and then Missouri Rural Services discount for the work comp, which was $6,819. So total quote, if we are given that 10% longevity credit, it will be $199,959 a year for Angel and Company. And the Murmah total is $190,944,000 a year.
And then those baseline increases off salary would be about the same. And then, what was it, the fund?
So I called Missouri Rural Services after Matthew had given us the information as to how Murmah calculates the rates for their program. I called Missouri Rural Services, and they also calculate rates based on our payroll, which is, I thought that that was the case based on the information that they send every year. It's based on payroll. But they said that this year the trust saw a 7.7% increase, and that was part of another part of the reason that we were seeing a $23,000 increase in work comp.
And Murmah was at 4.7%.
4.4, I think, is what he had calculated based on when he got the new payroll number, or no.
For our year that starts July 1, we're estimating a 4.4% increase across all lines.
Murmah makes sense.
Now, and the limits are higher. The only thing to do is just look at on collision with vehicles would be 500 versus 1,000, but if you look at the liability limits that they're offering, they're higher. And a couple of cases as well, quite a bit under those things as well.
How long have we been in the corporate, so we have now, how many years?
I have no idea.
We've been here for a long time.
Long time.
I like that Murmah has all one date as well, instead of like different dates. But Jet is local too, which is to think about.
The difference is 5% if they get the 4.9% or whatever is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, right? I mean, when it gets down to it. But that's if they get that discount that they
The
get.
longevity credit?
Yeah.
That's not guaranteed, is it?
No.
No.
And budget overall, Murmah's cheaper for the city budget too.
Change is good and change is scary. Sometimes you just gotta change.
What kind of,
I don't know.
it'd be a line at the one time a year all coming due, what relief does that give us as far as accounting and keeping up with it? Is it tremendously better for us?
Absolutely.
As far as managing the program?
Yeah, it is. I mean, right now we fill out 5 different renewal paperwork every year versus one.
Well, there's a lot of extra services that Murmah provides.
That's true.
that-
The training services are
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
All right, there's motion.
Move that bill number 2394 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
All opposed? Motion passes for first reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute all documentation necessary to join the Missouri Intergovernmental Risk Management Association, approving the form of certain documents necessary to that end, and fixing the time when this ordinance shall become effective.
Move that bill number 2394 be given its second read by title only.
Second.
Got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute all documentation necessary to join the Missouri Intergovernmental Risk Management Association, approving the form of certain documents necessary to that end, and fixing the time when this ordinance shall become effective.
Move that bill number 2394 be adopted by roll call vote.
Second.
First or second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call vote passes. Tara?
Alderman Hudson,
For.
Alderman Motley, Alderman Stevens,
4.
Alderman Rogers,
4.
Alderman Wilson.
4.
Bill number 2394 passes. Ordinance number, please.
3082.
Thank you. That moves us to C, permits and licensing, and we have none. Is that correct? Anything up there?
That's correct, nothing's done.
All right, D, purchasing, we don't have anything in that.
We do not, but, we will have to have an end of the fiscal year meeting, and I do have a quote that I received today for fireworks display, but I did not want to include it in this meeting, just because they have a resolution along with it to allow us to have a fireworks display, so we'll just put it for the last meeting, so just let you know I do have that.
And then moves us to item 9, old business. Review of the mowing, review of the mowing bids and recommendation from Cemetery Advisory Committee.
The bid packet, or the bid tabulation sheet is in your packet. The Cemetery Advisory Committee met last week, I believe on Wednesday. And after their discussion, they chose to recommend Progressive Landscaping, which is the second lowest bid. That is the person that currently has the contract. There are certain things that they wanted to point out that we would need to discuss with this contractor, such as making sure that they are blowing off all the headstones and trimming, because that's something that we had an issue with before. But that was the only issue. The other issue that they had was the low bidder. They felt like just did not have, or all the other bidders just did not have the experience with the cemetery.
No experience doing the cemetery, and it was considerably cheaper. And the second bid looks like to me, when we talked before, it's hard to make money through the year, but the other one's tremendously cheaper. And so there's real concern about what quality we get, I think is what they were talking about. I didn't make the meeting, I was back late, so that kind of brought up to speed, just you kind of know, so.
How did we get along? I know last year we had some growing pains at the beginning. Did it get better after Memorial Day?
After,
Actually, that's 2 years.
The mayor went out and talked to
after
them?
Phyllis.
This was last year was the third year of their contract,
Yeah,
so
that
they shouldn't
wasn't
have had
new,
to.
so that's the
take it
discussion we
that
had,
way.
this should be not a surprise to you, is the discussion we had, right?
Mhm.
Phyllis requested me to help, get clear what was going on. I had complaints, we had some complaints, and it's a hard job, but you gotta stay ahead of it, because rain, as we know, makes it very difficult, but that job out there is extremely labor intensive because of all of the weeding. It's not mowing, it's weeding, and it eats your lunch out there, and so, yes, I had a meeting with Mr. Mortimer, with Progressive, and I think we came to an understanding of the expectations and what we needed to have done, and from that point on, it got much better.
So we've had this company, Progressive, for 3 years, and we've had issues every 3 years?
The year before, I didn't, so much as last year. Last year, it was.
I think the first year was probably
The
the
first
best
year we had trouble, I know.
Sure.
But
It has to be
after that-
accepted, you expect that a little bit, you're trying to figure that out and get your arms around it, right? It's quite a deal, but.
But after your initial talk,
Second year, I
you
think
never
was
had to
pretty
go
good.
back and it was,
No, because
I don't think we've ever done that.
there's been a different deal going on.
And we would, I believe the consensus is we would have a discussion.
We'll have an
prior
upfront
to-
discussion,
Upfront to
no
let them know
question.
what is expected from the get-go.
Yeah.
But, I do think that the
The-
workload is a little bit less this year than it had been in the past.
It's a tough job.
Yeah.
So, bottom line was very, the response that we got after we'd had our second meeting that I had, the situation was, he was very, very, interactive and communicating and finding out and hearing anything, is everything going okay, does this look all right? And so there was a lot more focus and effort. But I don't, you know, we're not, when we contract somebody, we don't have to be jump started on something that's done on a weekly basis.
Is this another 3-year contract we're looking at?
Yes, but we do have there's a clause in there that we can, if either party is not satisfied, we can give 60 days written notice to cancel.
Well, Ryan said he don't want it back.
Murray does not.
With the low bids, you just gotta wonder what was left out, or what they didn't understand about it.
Well, one of the comments that they said that they had made was that the low bid had bid it per mo, but I mean, that's just kind of how you bid per mo anyway, so that to me didn't seem like a concern. But as low as it is, I'm
Yeah, the first
honestly,
one is
that's really low.
Cause we haven't had the contract that low for quite a few years.
I just don't want to sign up for another 3 years of problems if we've had 3 years of problems, is my only thing.
I mean, maybe we can do a 1-year contract instead of a 3, if that's what you all would like to do, with the possible of 2 2-year extensions if we're both satisfied.
I mean, if we have an out, we have an out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about changing it.
I don't think you notice how tough a job it is until somebody doesn't do it, and then you walk out there, oh my God. Cause
So you get your
there's
hours
walls
set,
out
right?
there, and it's uneven, and there's holes, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think it's really clear what the expectations are. I think they were clear, but they needed to be redefined last year. And so going into it, part of the discussion is, you know what you're getting in for, you know what you've signed up for, and, you know, we need you to be doing what you've signed up to do. And if that changes, then, you know, we're not gonna be real tolerant of any problems.
What was our bid last year, does anybody know?
This is, I think it's $50 more than what we paid last year.
It was a little more.
$50 more.
You said it was a little more than 50, I
Was it 3%?
thought. No, it wasn't.
No,
Wasn't that much, was it?
I thought it was 0.002%.
I don't know, maybe you.
Well, the notes say 3% increase. Oh, that's,
That's for the
that's
next
later.
Next year, that's what you're following.
That's
what I
later, my
thought.
bad.
Yeah, I got that.
Basically, up on the same price.
Yeah.
Heck, gas might go up with that.
I mean, I can see you, if we change, you're back at the Memorial Day, after Memorial Day, going through the same rigmarole,
No, you're right.
with somebody else.
It was $29.53, I'll round it to the whole dollar. It was 40 some odd dollars. Yeah.
Increase.
My mind was thinking it was like $400 or $500. 40 some odd dollar increase, I mean, essentially the same price.
So, if you're comfortable with this, we can have a discussion with the contractor prior to, just to make sure that we are all on the same page.
Maybe we adopt it.
And then we would adopt it
maybe-
next week.
Maybe we change it from a 60-day written notice to 30-day notice.
Okay.
I would feel, you know, I mean, a notice is a notice, but.
Yeah, but
It might take longer than it did.
No, I understood, but.
Unless you've done it.
I'm not,
It's
I don't know
You
my
know,
own.
it would be something to consider to have.
Girls don't mow in my family.
Because the laws have changed, it'd be nice to be able
I
to
tried
have
once, never again.
a summer program where you hire
Like heating and
school
cooling.
kids during summer, so
You gotta know what
you
you're
gotta be
doing.
18 and run a mower, so you can't do that anymore. Back in the day, they used to do
No
that,
idea.
don't have it anymore, so.
Well, 3 years ago, the park department did it, and they were gonna put somebody out there full-time, but, I think their bid came in at about 34,000, and that was 3 years ago.
But,
Graduating
It
this
is
year.
pretty high. Yeah, okay, well, I'll reach out to them, we'll talk to them and make sure that we're all on the same page.
How do you get paid?
No, no, no.
all right. That moves us to new business. Mayor, I don't have any, city administrator.
Nothing new, just my reports in the packet. The beginning of February, we were kind of, well, the whole entire office was in the community room. And then we worked together, we got it back, we talked about this quite a bit already, but everything is back in now. If you haven't seen the glass in the front, we're just very excited. We have the glass in the front, we have the keypad, remote keyless entry thing, so we just feel, I think, we feel a lot more secure. And so we appreciate you guys allowing us to do this project because it does help a lot.
It looks very nice.
It looks really good.
Thank you.
I think the people inside there really appreciate it too, you know, the new paint, and just, it's a different environment to be working in, and it really looks nice, looks professional, looks good.
Well, and backing up your seat and not having the wheel go inside the carpet.
Yes, that is nice too.
Are we gonna get a new map or picture up on the wall? Or?
Yes, I had contacted the county to find out about getting a new map before we put this one back up, but I think that the frame was a little busted up when they took it down, and so we're trying to talk them into building a frame that looks
The matches wheels to go around.
So that's why you kept this boards that Marge tripped over.
I'm sorry, I did not realize those were there.
It was my fault, I kicked it to where it's back. She can't dance and I can't either, and I can't draw stick figures.
It's
so
fine,
that's what we figured.
Yeah, that's fine.
She'll have a bruise.
Yeah, an old lady, she would.
All right, that moves us to C, our city attorney. Do we have anything from Sydney? Sydney has been here all night, very patient, and she's connecting. Sydney? That thing pinched my finger, I'm not touching it again the other day, I won't touch it again. I don't know, it's your phone, I'm not
It's a
fooling with it.
pop socket.
I don't like the pop socket, you do what you want to do that thing. She's not there, your picture's there, what happened?
She's gone.
Your picture.
She's gone.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Do you want to call her back, or?
She would've called back.
No.
We don't really have anything working, I don't think, that she's gonna make us aware of tonight, so. She's been here the whole time, I promise you, I've been seeing her. She got to see this, and now, I think it's a trick. Anyway, that moves us to our city clerk. Anything from you?
Tara attended the city clerk's conference this last week, so we're excited to hear some of the great things that she learned, and she always brings back good information.
Oh, she's back, maybe. I don't know what it is. Yeah?
You have to
I'll
sit
admit her.
allow or.
I'm gonna
yeah.
admit her. I can do that. Why is she looking at me? There she is. No, she ain't.
She's probably there.
Sydney? Thank God, you are there, I see you. Okay, we're going back to C, which is the city attorney's comments. Do you have any?
I don't have anything to report. There's some things that I'm working on along with Heather. They're not necessarily subject for open discussion, but nothing else to report. Oh, we did get through our peaceful report today. We went from 81 on the docket down to 44, and we got it completed in approximately 30 minutes. So it was a good day.
Good, I'm glad you got a chance to call us back and tell us that good news, so. Thank you. All right, so that moves us to, item 12, setting a date for a special board of aldermen meeting for the end of the fiscal year business. I'm looking for a motion, but let's have some discussion about it. What were you thinking?
March 29th, if that's available for you all, it's a Monday. That gives us time if we come in and approve all of the end of the month accounts payable. We have 2 days to get all of that stuff taken care of, so that would be a great day for us.
I think it's a good day. I mean, it gives us time to finish the year, month and year.
Just a week from Monday.
Yes.
I move we have a special meeting on March 29th at 6:30.
Second.
First and second to have a meeting March 29th at 6:30. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So we'll have that meeting March 29th at 6:30.
And make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
First and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you. Bye, Sydney.
Bye, Sydney.
You shut that off. I'm direct. Sign this for you.
You have a funny look on your face, Tony.